Hey everybody, welcome to the Soul Food Priest podcast with Father Ben, and welcome as always to Kiera, Roddy, and Sylvia. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Good.
I'm doing really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How's life?
Not as well because there is nothing on this table.
I know, mea culpa.
And I know that I've mentioned a couple times that I will bring something. So
Yeah, we keep failing.
we keep failing. So we forgive you for failing.
I
this time.
definitely see a pattern there.
Yes.
And it really, you've noticed clearly how many times I've brought food and how many times you guys have reciprocated with a whole lot of nothing. And so, but I want you to know, after the therapy, I'm getting over this.
Yeah. Okay,
The
fine.
resentment and the bitterness.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I
And
did
so-
wear yellow to make you happy today.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I have a question. Have you guys ever read the book of Revelation? Have you ever read?
Yes.
Not the whole thing.
You've read it. Okay. So, what was your impression of this book, like as a whole? Like, because people here's why I ask. Because people ask all the time, Father, I have no clue what's going on in the book of Revelation, and people think that priests know what's going on because, like, we study this, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, didn't you study this? Like, yeah, I did, but like, I mean, so what was your impression of this?
Okay, first time?
Yeah.
Because I remember first time I was in high school and we studied the book of Revelation. And I remember reading it and just going, what? And it being scary. And
Yeah.
what does this mean? And I don't know.
Like a
And
seven-headed dragon. And,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it was just kind of weird and like, I don't
Yeah.
know about this. And yeah, it was kind of scary. And I mean, we went through some of the stuff that I vaguely remember, like, oh, this could be Nero as the beast, you know.
Yeah.
I vaguely
Right.
remember some of that stuff, but for the most part,
Yeah.
it didn't click.
Yeah.
And I was just, but last year, was it last year?
Didn't you guys do a study on this?
We
right?
did a study on the
Right.
book of Revelation
Right.
last year. And it was like mind blowing. It
Yeah.
was just like it all clicked. It was incredible. I
Well,
loved
good.
it.
This is good. We have a resident professional here. This is awesome.
I don't know about that.
So that's good to know.
that.
So Revelation chapter 19, in case our viewers, listeners did not know, we hear about the banquet in heaven. So Jesus is having this big banquet in heaven, right? And so the question I was asked yesterday at Mass, after Mass, was, dude, what was on the menu, Father? Like, what were they having? Was
get
it
the
like
most random
beef
questions.
Wellington and lobster and stuff? And like, what was on the menu? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember reading that in the footnotes. I mean, so maybe you can enlighten us, Kiera. Like, what was on the menu, or what is on the menu? Because I kind of want to know.
Definitely beef Wellington.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Menudo.
That is on the menu in purgatory.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, Lord, help us. Yes. All they have. Can you imagine you're in purgatory and you're like, oh, thank you, God. It's been a horrible day. I just am so hungry. You sit down in a restaurant in purgatory and you open it up. Every line. Menudo.
With extra menudo on the side.
Right.
That would be your purgatory.
And then you go to
I would be in heaven.
you go to the cocktail menu and it's non-alcoholic drinks.
Menudo
Right.
broth.
Yeah. Decaf.
Decaf
Yeah.
menudo.
No.
a
that's-
Menudo, Bloody
I-
Mary kind of a.
I'll let you know. I'm planning on being in the cleanup crew there, so we'll see. So that this is one of the things that made me think of this. What is some of you may know, a lot of people. We've talked about this before. A lot of Americans are allergic. They have an allergy to talking about death. And they have no problem talking about heaven now. But when we talk about death, people like break out in hives, like they don't want to talk about it. And these are intelligent people who have like gone to college. They refuse to plan a funeral, talk about their last will and testament. So every year around the world, 60 million people die. That's 150,000 people every single day. Okay, one person every 1.6 seconds ish. So
We're talking about a light topic today,
Yeah,
by the way.
light
people.
topic.
Just-
Okay, suck it up, Buttercup.
yeah, right?
Yes,
Cheers.
yes.
Grab your coffee. Here we
So
go.
so often with this topic, I mean, this is to me, this is totally vexing. Everyone knows they're going to die, but nobody wants to talk about death. And I think it's one of the things that I think a lot of people recognize the fact that they will die, even if they don't want to discuss it, but they are afraid of the unknown, and they're afraid of letting go of the people that that they've known, right? And so to that point, again, people often ask about what's called NDEs, or near-death experiences.
Yeah.
So people that have died, that have experienced something on the other side, and then come back to life. Have you guys ever read about these people or heard about?
I haven't read, but I've heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Same.
I'm assuming you've never had one. Never had.
No, I have felt with my women exaggeration gene that I almost died, but
Yeah.
never.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Women
Yeah.
exaggeration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
That's cute.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they typically around the world they'll judge death in two ways. So there's clinical death and brain death. And I'm being general when I say this, so our medical professionals will forgive me, but typically clinical death is judged by cardiac death, whereas brain death is judged by brain death, right? So a lot of times in the States, they judge death now by brain death because a lot of people they think it's more accurate. And I can't even set a Band-Aid right, man, so I don't know nothing about medicine. My opinion is, having known hundreds of doctors, most of them I think would say brain death is more accurate. So when people experience NDEs, or near-death experiences, science for many, many years, really up until the last 10 years-ish, they would say, oh, this is neurochemical transmissions in the brain. This is a lack of oxygen. It's too much hemoglobin in the blood, blah, 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 blah. One of the things that's really interesting is the New England Journal of Medicine in the States, the Lancet, which is the European version of the New England Journal of Medicine, have since done vast studies on this. And so we're talking roughly a third of the people that are resuscitated after brain death experience an NDE. That's a massive, massive amount of people
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah.
Massive. And so what started changing the zeitgeist, so to speak, of the way that people started perceiving this in the medical community, even the psychological community, is that so many of them themselves experienced this. So the people that were brain surgeons that were in the process of dying, diagnosing their own death, experiencing something, then coming back and writing about it.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So they begin to think, maybe there's something to this, right? Maybe there's something to this. And we were kind of thinking that it might be good for us to kind of talk about this.
Yeah.
Perhaps
It's interesting to me.
from a Catholic perspective, like what does the church have to say? The church has never issued something on this, right? But, and this is going to sound immensely arrogant. I do not mean it to sound this way, but in full transparency, for us, we're just not surprised at all by this.
No.
Because we have said for over 2,000 years, the soul survives the body. The soul is immortal. And for instance, Thomas Aquinas, who lived in the 13th century, and I'm paraphrasing what he would say, but he would say there's a difference between the brain and the mind, right? He didn't use the word brain, but the brain and the mind. The brain is an organ that will die. The mind, however, is connected to the soul, and it will not die,
Yeah.
right? And then what he called the rational soul. And most people would agree with that. I mean, there's no question. There's a connection there. If somebody has
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, for instance,
Yeah.
and There's definitely an overlap, but the mind being connected to the soul is immortal. And so it's really fascinating that when people experience NDEs going to the other side, that they recognize people that they knew in this life
Yeah.
or they never knew. They recently documented a 6-year-old girl that died in China that died and met literally hundreds of people in her own family that had died many generations before she was ever born, and she recognized them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And you can imagine her parents were completely flabbergasted when
Yeah.
she explained in very minute detail the conversations that she had.
Wow.
Right. Okay. Well, that's the mind. That's
Yeah.
the mind. Right. And so the question then becomes, okay, well, how does this work?
Yeah.
Because when you and I, if I'm looking at you guys now, I'm looking at your face, but in heaven, right now, there's two people with bodies, Jesus and his mom.
Yeah.
So what do they recognize? Unless there's something recognizable about the human soul.
It's interesting.
So these are these questions really generate a lot of discussion. Yeah, I mean, and so it touches the deepest core of who we are, because, for instance, when people experience this is not. There's no question there have been some kooks that have
Oh, yeah.
exaggerated things.
Yeah.
But there's also no question that this is a reality, in my opinion,
Okay.
that people need to unpack. And of course, it's not until, not since, the guy who really started documenting this was a guy named Dr. Raymond Moody in the 60s and 70s. So when Moody started this, everybody thought this guy's a nutcase. I mean, he was given no credence in the medical community. And now, of course, everybody, well, I should say a lot of people are singing his praises for being
Yeah.
pioneering.
Yeah.
But at the time, they just kind of thought he was a wingnut.
Yeah.
And so, and he was like, no, this is legit.
Yeah.
Like, we need to look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally documented thousands of cases when nobody else would do this. Now they have websites that
Yeah.
people can go on and document things. But Moody, God bless him, I mean, he did a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So, question comes up, what do they experience?
Yeah.
What do they experience? And so maybe not to, forgive me for dominating the conversation, but
Yeah. This is interesting.
well, it's there's been so many different cases, but and I have myself interviewed a number of them. One of whom was a mother of 3. Smart woman, 2 master's degrees, and she was, I think she, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was clinically dead for about 7 minutes.
Wow.
Was resuscitated, and she was in a. The hard thing for her is when they experience this, they can't explain to people what they've experienced, and the people that are listening to this, they don't know what to say. So it almost makes them feel awkward.
Yeah.
So what happens is they hold it in until they find somebody else that has experienced it. Not unlike veterans that hold in their experience and share their experience with other veterans, right? And I felt sorry for her because her husband really did not know how to handle this,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's obviously grateful. Thank God my wife is
Yeah.
alive.
Correct.
So this happens. They
Yeah.
call it one of the words they use is anomie. Anomie is it's a state of listlessness emotionally and psychologically, and meaning that they're adrift. If somebody is anomie, that means that they're kind of adrift emotionally and spiritually, and that's kind of how they are. So it's a curse and a blessing. It's a blessing in the sense they have zero fear of death.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, most of them did not want to come back.
Yeah.
But a curse in the sense that they can't explain to anybody what they experienced.
Yeah.
So again, we kind of go back to what they experience. So there's a woman named Pamela. I'll withdraw her last name, but Pamela. So she died in 2010 in Nashville, and really fascinating case. Really fascinating case. So she had an aneurysm in the deepest core of her brainstem. So they call it deep brain surgery. They brought her body. It was 7-hour surgery. 3 doctors, 7-hour surgery. They brought her body down to 50 degrees. They drained every drop of blood from her body. And when they do that type of surgery, they tape the eyelids shut.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they put these clickers in their ears, very, very loud clicks. And what that does is on the monitor, it will show if there's any type of brain activity at all, right? So they tape their eyes shut. Okay, she's dead. She's 50 degrees. Okay?
Yeah.
So these 3 doctors did surgery on her for 7 hours. Okay.
In that state.
In that state.
Wow.
And they call it deep brain surgery. So she exited her body and watched the entire thing take place, start to finish. She then dictated to them, word for word, the conversation that they had. She saw them pull the saw out that they used to cut open her skull, and she told them exactly what it looked like. She said it looked like an electric toothbrush, and it's a little saw like that. And
her eyes were taped.
Her eyes were taped shut, and and furthermore, they were listening to music, and they were listening to the Eagles' greatest hits. And she told them the songs that they were listening to. So again, we're talking 3 doctors who then testified later to this whole thing. And they said, look, in their defense, they were like, I can't explain this.
Right.
All I know is she was dead, and she experienced this repeated back to us word for word of everything.
Yeah.
As if she was right there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So there's another case, for instance, of a man who
I would have to tell the Lord, if you're going to do that to me, like, I don't want to watch my own brain surgery. Sorry, can you entertain me with something else?
In fact, she saw them going into her leg, and she was thinking, why are they looking at my leg if they're working? And of course they're looking for an artery, right? And she explained this to them. She was like, I was wondering why you were going through my leg.
Lord, give me
And so-
sunshine, sunsets, mountains. I don't want to watch my own surgery tape.
Wow.
There was another man who he was unconscious. He had dentures. They took out his dentures. They put him away. And he was brain dead. He came back to life, and he said, I need my dentures. And they said, well, we can't find them. And he said, that woman over there took them out. And they went and asked her, and she said, yeah, they're right there.
Yeah.
So these type of experiences are, how do we explain this, right? How do we explain this? So there's things that people often say, well, do they experience tunnels? Some do. Do they experience a life review? Most do. And when they experience a life review with Jesus or God, what's interesting about this is they experience both the positive and the negative. And they experience the positive and the negative from the other person's experience. So every time they've hurt somebody, they experience it from the other person's perspective, the impact. But here's the good news, is they said, like, they would say, well, it wasn't as if like God was showing me this to punish me. He was showing me this to broaden the optic,
Yeah.
to show the impact.
Yeah.
Obviously, extraordinarily humbling
Yeah.
for the person.
Right.
But it was also, one was able to see the positive. And how each one of our small actions and words have deep impact on other people.
Yeah.
And Jesus himself testifies this many times. He says, even when you give a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, you receive 100 times more in the life to come. Right? So they have this broader optic, right? What I found, one of the things I found very fascinating is they talk about, for us, we have our five senses, right? For them, the senses are blended. So what does that mean? It means they can smell colors.
That would be cool.
They can hear colors. They said their senses are dialed up to 1,000 times anything we've ever known.
Yeah.
So they can actually, they said I could hear the blades of grass. I can hear these things. I can taste smells, and so these type, and I can hear like the music, for instance. And again, it goes back to our question: how do they hear if they have no ears?
Yeah.
How do they see these colors if they have no eyes in heaven? So these are the questions that, from a theological perspective, assuming there is validity to what they say, I happen to believe there is, then what that does is it probes from a theological perspective into what we would call theologically ontology, the study of being. Like, what is it? How then can we unpack this in the human soul? So, fascinating stuff. And I think, even when they recognize other people, how do they recognize them?
Yeah.
Unless there's something identifiable about the soul, in the same way that everybody has a different fingerprint, right? I mean, that we're marked. I know exactly in heaven, this is Sylvia, okay? And including people that died long before we were born.
Yeah.
So it's these are some of the questions that come up. And again, we're not talking about an insignificant number of people here. We're talking about millions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what percentage of those say, "Oh, there's nothing"?
Yeah, and that's true. And
Is there any percentage of people who say, "Nope, I saw nothing or experienced nothing"? Because I mean, for an atheist, like death, that's it.
Yeah,
that's.
And there's been many atheists that came back that switched.
Yeah.
And so,
Because that's where we get this whole YOLO and all of that kind of thing. Live life to the fullest and all of that. Because I mean, like, this is all you got.
Right.
But it's kind of interesting that it's like, and it's fascinating to me that this isn't publicized more, because it would give further proof to the existence of whether people think it's God or Jesus or what, but that there is something beyond, which we already know that. I mean, they think instinctively we know that, which is why everybody's obsessed with supernatural movies, even though it's evil supernatural movies.
Yeah.
There's still something that people like and obsess over that. But it's kind of interesting that this isn't publicized more, because unfortunately, maybe more people would dig in a little bit more about choices.
I feel in a way sometimes it feels kind of taboo to talk about it. Like, we don't know if it's real or not, so let's not believe it. Or no, yes, let's believe it. Let's just not talk about it because we don't know. So sometimes people don't talk about it, or what does my belief say, and we don't know, or maybe I don't believe that, maybe I do. Well, because we really don't know, let's just disregard it.
Yeah, that's right.
So in a way, I guess people tend to, let's just not talk about it and deal with it and learn more about it, since we don't know. Okay, move on.
Yeah, and that's exactly right too. I mean, it's a lot of that, in my opinion, goes back to our discussion on why death itself is so taboo. And as we've talked about before in our podcast, some people, they're good people.
Yeah.
They're good people. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but they want to keep life on the first layer of the onion.
Yeah.
They do not want to go past the first. They want a superficial existence. They have moments where they flirt, where they think, is this all there is? But they can't bring themselves to probe to the second, third, or fourth layer of the onion.
Yeah.
They just can't do it because it freaks them out so much.
Yeah.
So that's all butterflies and rainbows all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say there's suffering in the third and fourth layers.
Yeah.
Second layer.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we all know people like that, and they're doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means at this point in their life they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And but I do think that, like, to your question, Kira, what about some of the people that have experienced hell? And there have been plenty that have, plenty. There's a documentary that was done not long ago called After Death by Angel Studios, and they were talking. They had several on there that were a couple that were talking about that. One of the guys, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was atheist, and he was crying when he was talking about it. He said that where he was at was it's hard to describe, but that I think many times for us, when we think about that reality, we think of something like a dream state.
Yeah.
But they say it's not that at all. It's the reality that we are in 100 times more real. It's not at all like a dream state. That's kind of dreamy and floaty.
Yeah.
And so he said that he was in a place of extreme darkness, and he was getting punched and beat on and bit by animals, and this like horrible and he reached out to God, and he said he was taken out of it.
Wow.
And so and these are coming from people that experience this, and so I think
Because wasn't it St. Teresa of Avila who experienced hell too?
yeah. So the Fatima children saw this,
And they saw it too.
They
yeah.
saw this, yeah. And then of course, which is really amazing, because any human being would be immensely traumatized, and the fact that the Blessed Mother showed children is not by chance. She was with them, of course, and then of course Saint Faustina.
Yeah.
Also experienced this, and so a number of the saints have had kind of these mystical visions of this, but I think most of us kind of know on a deeper level that there really is life after this, and but if we understand a human being in terms of Darwinism, and as we were talking about on our other podcast, Charles Darwin, who was an atheist, had a huge impact on Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood, and Adolf Hitler, and his book Mein Kampf. They both wrote their books, Sanger and Hitler, within a 5-year time frame in the 1920s, and they're both influenced largely by Charles Darwin's survival of the fittest. So if we understand a human being in those terms, there's no value to it. There's no value to it. If we understand it in terms of human dignity and immortality, it changes everything.
Yeah. And I love that you said the gentleman, I forgot the name, that did the After Death documentary, how he said it wasn't like a dream, because a lot of people will have that. Oh, it was just a dream. You were dreaming, or you were asleep, or it's like, no, this was the real, more real than real. So if anybody has those doubts, it's like, no, this is completely different. When you're dreaming. It's like, I think when we wake up and when we're in a state of shock, or we know when we're dreaming and we know when we're not.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So for someone to say, no, I was not dreaming, I was fully awake, and if anything, I was more awake then. So you would know the difference. I think know when we're dreaming when we're not. So it's not like
Yeah.
pinch me, wake me
Yeah.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good to know that these people know for a fact I was not dreaming. I was not asleep. This is
Right.
completely different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really, it's fascinating, isn't it? I think it's, and it's really, it kind of harkens back to some extent of like what Catholic theology teaches on these three levels of the universe, that there's the supernatural of God, the preternatural, preter meaning beyond, that's the realm of angels and demons, and then the natural, which, and it's the third level, which is where we're at, is bound by time and space, but the top two are not. And that's why one's guardian angel or a demon can be in multiple places at the same time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these people that have experienced NDEs, they'll say, well, how long were you there? Like, I don't know if it was 10 years or 5 minutes, man.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. There's no time. And because it was in that world. I mean, the question then becomes, okay, what happened to Lazarus?
Yeah.
And I was thinking that.
Like,
I did. I
where
like,
was
wait,
Lazarus
There's going to be a
at?
moment when I'm going to ask him, is there anything written or anything of what happened to Lazarus?
Or these, in Mark's gospel and Matthew's gospel, we hear about Jesus raising little girl,
Little girl.
Talitha cum. You know, I say to you, little girl, rise.
Yeah.
We also hear in the Acts of the Apostles. And so where were they at? Like, where was Lazarus at?
He was
Yeah.
gone for
And-
several.
Yeah. And so I think, and that was a massive threat. It's hard for us to understand. It's a massive threat
Yeah.
to the establishment at the time,
Right.
because they didn't know what to, I mean, he was living proof
Yeah.
of the power of God. And so they were trying to kill Lazarus to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah.
And so, but where did they go? I mean, did they experience some kind of, I mean, I hate to say that in some ways, because Scripture doesn't refer to, of course, an NDE, but the question then becomes, where did he go? We know where Jesus went. When he was dead, it says he descended into hell. Third day he rose again from the dead. He descended not into the hell of the damned, but to bring redemption to those that had not yet experienced full redemption. But it begs these questions, and I think with one of the things that some of these people have spoken about, for instance, is one of the things that they've experienced when they get there is the immense, overwhelming happiness, like anything they've ever known, and not at all fearful.
Yeah.
And yet I think it's really beautiful for the ones that were given the choice to come back, that clearly did not want to come back. Some were told, you have to go back, it's not your time. But a lot of them were given a choice so that they take ownership of it. And I knew a woman who, she was a doctor, and she had 3 children, and she died, and on a boating accident, and she was given an instantaneously premonition that 2 of her children would be perfectly fine. Like, they would miss her, but they would be fine. But one of her children would be forever altered in a negative way. And so she, of course, chose to go back as a mom, even though she did not want to. And so I think that's really beautiful, assuming that what she said is accurate, that God allows the person to own it, to own that decision.
Yeah.
And but the overwhelming happiness that they have. I mean, it's really beautiful because like St. Paul, when he would say, "Eye has not seen, ear has not heard what God has prepared for those who love Him." Right?
Yeah.
I think one of the ones I was reading recently said that the person actually saw, and this is really interesting, actually saw a kingdom in heaven, like of like gold.
Yeah.
Like what he said was like actually a kingdom with 12 entrances in it for the 12 apostles, like 12 entry points.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, like he saw it from outside, and he had like it's almost like something out of a Hollywood movie or Lord of the Rings or something. But
Yeah.
he went into this extreme detail of what he saw. So again, these are just people's take.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for Catholic Christians to have these discussions, because I think even if somebody may be skeptical, which is fine, if at the very least what it does is it probes the questions on the soul.
Yeah.
Like what do we actually believe with regards to a soul? And if we've talked about before, you ask any Christian in the entire world, do you believe in a soul? They'll say, yeah. If you say, what is a soul? They're like, man, I have no idea. I don't know. Start Googling, right?
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And
Now,
I know,
what,
go ahead.
now, what got you started on researching this? Was this something before you became a priest, or being at the deathbeds of so many people,
Interesting, yeah.
ministering to a lot of people, or experiencing it yourself? Like, what got you kind of fascinated in researching this?
Yeah, I think
and I'm sure you were asking those questions too. Of, well, what is a soul? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see where your brain is probably like that.
Always, yeah. Yeah, it's very dangerous up here. Very dangerous, this landing strip. Yeah, it's, I've always, my entire life, have had a fascination with the eternal. My whole life, I remember going all the way back to the time I can remember what happens to us when we're gone. And kids ask this question all the time. But I would add to that, I guess when my first year in the seminary, I was taking a class, I was doing philosophy at St. Louis University. And one of my professors, who was fantastic, Dominican, he had us do, we were taking a class on human nature. And Catholics define a human being. If you ask a Catholic, how do you define a human being? We would say, in Latin, corpore et anima unus, which means a union of body and soul. Right? That's how we define a human being, a union of body and soul. So that's what the whole class was on. So I asked him, I'd been reading for years before that, the New England Journal of Medicine, some of the things that they had published sporadically on NDEs. And I asked him, I said, can I do this? He was like, yeah, man, do it. So my idea of the project, I started researching, read literally about 100 case studies and was trying to coalesce some of the data. But I wanted to present it from a non-theological perspective,
Yeah.
from a more objective perspective, so to speak, right? And so that's what I try to do. And I was actually happy that I did that, and extracting the theology from it, because it taught me a lot more.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've read thousands of case studies, and then have interviewed at least a dozen people that have experienced this, and been, of course, with many who have at the moment of death, and it's really a beautiful thing, because what it does is it brings home to, not just to me, but I think to other people, remember that you're dust, and unto dust you shall return. And that's why I'm so emphatic, at least with our people, that we really do ourselves a massive disservice when we don't have an adult conversation about our mortality.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's not just that, okay, you're going to die, suck it up, buttercup, get over it. Okay, it's not for that reason. It's because we are not meant for this world. I mean, Jesus is crystal clear in this, especially in John's gospel. If you were meant for this world, the world would love you. You were not meant for this world, right? If you were of this world, the world would love you. And so, like, we are in essence eternal. God did not create death. And so death is a result of sin. So this is like going back to the book of Genesis. We have the tree of good and evil, underscoring free will, and the tree of life, underscoring our immortality, right? That was God's original plan. Adam and Eve would still be alive had they not sinned. So for us, that this is why the resurrection is so pivotal in the Christian and the human experience. That's why Easter Sunday is so pivotal, because our souls leave our body at death. Clearly they keep going, body in the ground, and yet at the second coming they will be reunited. So this is what I think is really fascinating, because assuming what these people said is true, I mean, again, millions, what will that mean for how amplified it's all going to be when the body comes back again together? I mean, and John Paul II talks about this a lot in the theology of the body and with the eschatological state. And so where he actually, you know, it's in Catholic theology, we talk about what's called spiritual agility, which means that in the resurrected state of how the body and soul will be at the second coming, the parousia, we will be in these bodies outside of time and space. So as we talked about the supernatural, the preternatural, the natural, we're now bound by time and space, but we will be in these bodies again, no longer bound by time and space, as if we were in the top two in these bodies.
Which is super, super fascinating to listen to some and read some of the stories of the saints, you know, or even Jesus at the resurrection, walk through the door, walk through the walls.
And then he eats with them.
And he eats with them.
Thomas, put your finger in my side. See that I'm not a ghost. Right? I mean, and
and then being able to, like St. Padre Pio, you know, appearing, being able to bilocate. You know, being at a monastery, but yet being seen either in the sky to pilots or you know, in Rome or whatever, and he does not leave this monastery. You know, just the bilocation and the beatific visions too. I mean, they're not near-death experiences, but you could almost say, in a way, almost like a St. Thomas Aquinas beatific vision, in which what he experiences, he writes the Summa and then just says, okay, this is just a piece of straw. What I wrote is a piece of straw compared to what's really there, you know, which is like mind-blowing, you know. So it's really fascinating. And even lately we're doing a church history class, and so going through the persecutions, like the martyrs, and looking at some of the stories of the martyrs where people were eyewitness to their martyrdom, and they wrote the martyrdom down, but some of the interesting things were like, this person was in a state of ecstasy, and you know, was fed to the beast, got attacked, didn't die, but nothing fazed them. And then when they finally came to, they were still alive, beaten up and all of that, but willing to go back into it and go to death.
Incredible.
You know, so it's just really, really fascinating. I mean, and I was actually pondering that on the way here, listening to a homily on the way here, kind of questioning and asking myself that very question. Like, am I willing to lose it all to gain everything? And what does that mean to gain everything? What does that look like? What is that? Am I willing to, would I be willing to be martyred? Would I be willing to do that? You know, and wondering too, does God gift people, like when he gifts them martyrdom, does he also gift them these supernatural graces to endure the most painful things? You know, it's just interesting things to contemplate and to think about, but to also to study and to learn and to read, because it's happened to numerous people.
Indeed. Yeah, and that's very well said, Kara. I think that's really, really true. I think one of the things that is frightening for human beings is that in death we are reduced down to the bare minimum of what it means to be a human being. And people realize, of course, at that moment what kind of human being I have been. And that is because it's a series of letting go people, letting go our eyesight, letting go our mobility, letting go our independence, letting go our privacy, letting go of other people that I've known. It's a series of small deaths usually before that moment, assuming somebody doesn't die suddenly. So we're reduced down to the core of who we are at that moment, which is the people that are at the first layer of the onion are instantaneously brought to the middle of it, right? And that's humbling.
Yeah.
That's humbling. And that's why it's important to understand that every moment is a gift.
Yeah.
I mean, surely.
Right.
I mean, if anything from this conversation, we should, from all these people's experiences, like you said, if that truly happened, and like you said, I also do believe, if anything, it is actually good. It is nothing negative. It's nothing that it's like, oh, that's it, or it's a positive thing. So since I was little, I've always been a really positive person. So instead of being negative, I'm going to die, and I don't know all this information that is out there, all these people's experiences, everything that God has taught us and our beliefs, everything is going towards a positive. And faith brings it together and brings us to a great everlasting life with Jesus, and better living with all the senses and all that supernatural. We won't get second, first level, and coming to being ourselves, but yet higher. I can't find the words to say it, but because it's just, it would be that amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So if anything, if it's hard to believe, if it's taboo to talk about, if it's something that you don't understand, which I don't think we'll ever 100% understand until we are there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Know that it's a beautiful thing that God is gifting us, and it's going to be better than where we are now if you truly believe. And if you don't believe, I think that those people that have been atheists and have come back and now believe. So
yeah.
And this also begs the question too of, a lot of people will talk about this state of limbo. It doesn't sound like in any of these situations there's any kind of limbo, like you're just hanging out in a waiting room. It seems like there's something being done, like whether it's this is the reality of hell and crying out to God and God saving you, or conversations with family members, or being able to witness certain things so that you can come back and tell, or having the choice, do you want to stay or do you want to go, or experiencing happiness. It's like, it's not just a state of like limbo and nothingness and just, it seems like in all these cases, God is allowing something to happen in order for a greater good to take place. Does that seem the case with these?
And there's a lot I could say there theologically, but putting Catholic theology aside, I would say to your question, and I'm not the oracle on anything, certainly not NDEs, but I would say in the thousands of case studies I've read over the years, I've never seen that I've never heard of someone. Now there may be people that experience that never speak on it, and like I said, a lot of people are self-conscious about speaking because nobody really understands. So maybe they have experienced that, but the cases that I have read and the people I've talked to, clearly no. There is heaven and there is hell, and a state of unspeakable happiness that no adjective can describe. That is everything we've ever known that's happy, amplified 100-fold, and then but an unspeakable hell as well. And Jesus talks a lot about this. I mean, he mentions, he talks about you yourself will see Abraham and Isaac and these people in heaven, and you yourself cast out where there'll be wailing and grinding of teeth, and by your own choice. By your own choice. And yet, and I think one of the things that Catholic flirting back into the Catholic theology piece of it, one of the things we would say, we talk about the salvation issue, is that soteriology. We would say that God, he understands our circumstances. I mean, some people, through no fault of their own, are born into highly, highly dysfunctional families, highly dysfunctional families, highly atheistic countries, and so they're just not brought up. I mean, God understands this, right? And our Catholic theology teaches this. Pope Benedict, for instance, spoke a lot about this. Vatican II spoke about this. And so we take all that into account, but God knows those things. So, yeah, I think, and that's why we would say that God presents the possibility of salvation for every human being that's ever lived. Does not mean they will all be saved.
Right.
It means that in their particular situations, God presents the possibility of salvation to choose the good, what we call the natural moral law, right? Which it's worth pointing out the founding fathers of this country was a big thing for them.
Yeah.
And so, it's really good for people to understand this, because it touches, especially, if you don't mind me saying so, like as mothers. I mean, for instance, St. Edith Stein, who died at Auschwitz, she wrote a whole lot about the feminine characteristics in the soul. And as mothers, how the textured complexity of a mom's soul, as it is connected on a deeper, more metaphysical, profound level with their kid. And to me, it makes total sense, and I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how we're like, we know exactly, I'm your mom.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're thinking right now. And they're like, what? How? I'm your mother.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's true.
Well, and yeah, it's really funny, right? Because you ask moms, how do you know that? I don't know. I just know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know. And I'm like, how do you know that? And they'll ask me, like, how do you know the cookies are done? I just know. Right? And
You're
it's
the
like,
mother of
yeah,
all the cookies.
yeah, exactly. I'm the cookie shepherd. And so, you know.
We can attest to that.
Right. Yeah. I think you guys got me beat. And so. Yeah, it's cool.
Great topic. This was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
In the Hispanic culture, it is not taboo, but it's not really talked about. And I think, if I may say so, I might be incorrect, I don't think it's believed a lot.
What do you mean?
The end of life situations, coming back near death, and all of that. So it's interesting. Growing up, I didn't really hear anything about it, so I really didn't look into it a lot, because it's something that it's not really talked about in the Hispanic community. Now, Dia de los Muertos, it's completely different.
Totally different, yeah.
Totally different, because there's, you die, and that's, that's a tradition and all that stuff. But near-death experiences is something I don't think that they really talk about. So this was interesting. Thank you for...
Yeah, and that's a fantastic point, Sylvia, that you bring up. Like, there's different, what they would call anthropological and sociological impact variants around the world on how what people believe and cultures believe with regards to this. I mean, like, even in things like Santeria,
Yeah.
where it's a mix of a mezcla of voodoo and Catholicism,
Yeah.
right? Where there's more ancestor worship,
Correct.
right? Which we would not agree with, but they see. And then there's even in what I think is really interesting to your point is some of the Spanish-speaking hagiography with Lives of the Saints. They talk about Saint Moses, Saint Abraham, Saint Daniel, Saint Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, you would never see that in an English Lives of the Saints. They would
Yeah.
not talk. Clearly, Moses is saint. He appeared at the Transfiguration, but we don't talk about so much Saint
Yeah.
Moses from the Old Testament.
Right.
There is a Saint Moses,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
variance, the difference, right, that we
Yeah.
see with regards to the supernatural, so to speak, in different cultures, right? Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, man. I'm never going to sleep tonight. Hey, listen, don't forget to put soul in your food and give food to your soul. God bless you.